everybody, welcome to the show. Welcome back to Raising A to Z, this inspirational and informational YouTube channel all about homeschooling. My name is Amanda. I am a certified teacher turned homeschool mom, and I am gearing up for next year. So if you are a follower here, you know that last week I was talking about wrapping up our year because we're going to start getting into summer mode. But before we get into summer mode, I like to prepare for the fall. So basically in May and June, I like to make sure that I have everything I'm going to need, all of my curriculum and books and the big things planned out so that I get to enjoy my summer, because my husband, who teaches in the public system, he's off, and so we do a lot of traveling, a lot of activities. I like to chill, know that I don't really need to worry about what's going to happen in September because I've already figured it out. And so I have already purchased all my curriculum that we're going to start in September. So I thought that I would share what we're using this year because everyone wants to know. I'm actually gonna do this in two parts because I have two kids, two parts. I think it'll just be easier that way, a little bit more digestible. And so today I'm gonna start with Zoe. Zoe is my kindergartner. So she was 4 this past year. She literally just turned 5 at the end of May. And so for the past year, she has been doing what we call a junior kindergarten program. And so I've been introducing her to the idea of written numbers, written letters, that letters and numbers have purpose and function. She's been doing tracing, figuring out how to use a pencil or a pen, coloring. That's been our focus. She's been learning those kinds of basic things. And I am super excited because she's really started to take off, especially in math, which is very common. Young children really like math and number introduction because numbers are so concrete and they don't change. Whereas letters, the sounds change if they're hard sounds or soft sounds or next to other sounds, a little more tricky. I have found in the last probably 4 months, she's really connected with math and numbers. She really likes doing all of her math things. She likes the sorting. She likes identifying characteristics. She likes measuring. She likes to write her numbers. She likes to identify her numbers, and she's it's really clicked for her in that way. Letters have been a little bit slower. She likes to trace them. She's very good at tracing them. She's not always good at remembering their names or what sounds they make. That's okay. She's only 4. So that is how I've played off this year with her, is that she is only 4. And I like to give my kids at least 2 solid years to get their numbers, their basic 1 through 10, even 1 through 20, and their basic letters down. I don't want to rush them, and I don't want them to feel like they're behind because they haven't gotten them. So I like to give them a full 2 years to grasp those concepts, understand those concepts, and connect with those concepts. And so that's going to be a lot of what we do next year. The other thing we've done a lot this year is Zoe has a little bit of a difficulty speaking sometimes. She's a little bit lazy with her tongue, which is something that we have noticed. She doesn't always like to put her tongue in the right spot when she talks. So we've been working on that with her. Because she can make certain sounds and then in certain words, and then she doesn't make them in other words, and they're literally the same sound. She can say Starbucks, no problem. She can say, but she has a hard time with song. She always makes an H sound, hong. So but she can say Starbucks. So we've been working on that. And so one of the ways we've been doing that is by doing silly sentences. And so either doing something like a tongue twister or a silly sentence that has lots of alliteration and lots of those same sounds. So lots of words that begin with S, and whatever letter we've been working on with her. And it has significantly improved her speech. She still has a couple things where she's still struggling, but again, she just turned 5, so I'm not worried about it. And so we're gonna probably continue doing that, silly sentences with her. But I'm excited because I think she's really starting to get to a point where she is ready to do more of an academic learning, and rather than just experience based learning, she's ready to get into something a little bit more abstract. And so I'm excited to dive into some curriculum with her this year and see where that goes with her. Before I get into what curriculum she's going to be using for her senior kindergarten year, if you like this video, you're going to want to go down here and subscribe and click the bell up here for notifications so that you know when we're putting out our next video, which will be all about Alexi and what I'm doing with her in her grade 2 year. So you'll definitely want to make sure that you are ready and subscribed so you can get that notification and watch that video. I think I'm going to break this down by subject. I think it's probably the easiest way. And so I'm going to start with math. This year, Zoe is going to be doing Math for Living Education Level 1. So technically this is a grade 1 curriculum. Zoe did the kindergarten, the level K, this whole past year and has been loving it. She loves it. I do think these are great curriculums for very early learners because they're really not that heavy. They're very simple. They're very colorful. So like they're very, let me show you. So I find they're very colorful. The activities are things that kids are interested in. They don't try to get kids to do things that are too hard for their age level. It's a great program for very young kids and working them up. Like it's not overwhelming is what I'm trying to get to. And they like it. Now I will say I originally got this because I liked the idea of having a story that went with each unit. I'm not gonna lie, we skip the stories. I think that sometimes they're good, but sometimes it's just, I just don't have the time for it. And so we do skip the stories. So basically we just do the workbook sections, and not the stories. And I still find it worth it. So that's why we are sticking with Math for Living Education. We've enjoyed it with Alexi and now Zoe is enjoying it as well. Another thing that I really like about the Math with Living Education is copywork. I love that this book includes copywork and that the kids are working on writing their numbers properly. I just think it's such a simple thing and it's such a simple activity for kids to do, is focus on writing their numbers and saying their numbers, and such a great simple math activity that I think a lot of programs skip over. Like they go basically, oh, you know how to count to 10? Okay, let's move on. I find that a lot of children often skip on how to write their numbers properly, and the writing of numbers looks really messy or is hard to read. And so I really like that this book includes some copy work in it. The other thing I love about this curriculum is that it's spiraled. So they kind of like loop around to subjects and different types of different concepts throughout the book. So like I said, there's copy work throughout the book. There's counting work throughout the book. There's, of course, looking for copy work. There you go. Whole page is copy work. There's addition work throughout the book. There's, once they introduce a concept, you learn about it, it kind of comes back at least 2 or 3 times throughout the book so that the kids kind of like, they're not forgetting how to do that. I've always liked a spiral approach. I think it's a really great program for a lot of children because once they kind of get it, they're not forgetting it throughout the year. And so that is one of the reasons why we are doing master books, the Math with Living Education with Zoe for her senior kindergarten year. Now, in terms of it being a grade 1 book, like I said, Zoe did do the kindergarten this past year. Really liked it for her. And I do find this is a little bit, I don't find it's a full grade 1. Personally, it does have a lot of grade 1. By the end, you definitely have probably enough for a grade 1, but I do find it's, because of the way it's written, it's fairly like light. It's a great kind of like between a senior kindergarten and a grade 1. So it's kind of like on the low end of grade 1. So I do find it really nice as a like program, as like a stepping stone, because I find there's a lot of kindergarten programs, there's a lot of grade 1s. There's not a lot of like programs that kind of in the middle if you need something that's more than just counting shapes and colors, but not quite ready to do like addition, subtraction, all of that kind of stuff. Like there's not a lot of programs that are kind of in the middle. That's one of the reasons why I like this as well, because I find it has a little bit more, there's smaller steps in between. So I liked this because I find like it's the next, obviously it's the next level up, but I find it's kind of in between what I would consider a grade 1 here in like Canada versus like a grade 1 program. You know what I mean? Like it's got a nice step up to it. So that is math. That is what we're using. Master books, Math for Living Education. When it comes to language arts, I am a big fan of Chalkboard Publishing. It is a Canadian company and I really like their stuff. It's not overly complicated. It's pretty readily available and I find it's not expensive because that's always a concern, is I don't like spending a ton of money on curriculum, especially if I don't know how it's going to work out. And I like it because there's just something about it. I like it. So this is Chalkboard Publishing. It is the Canadian daily printing practice, and it is going to be what Zoe's going to use for working on her letters. Like I said, we're going to be working on identifying letters and their names this year. We're going to be working on the sounds that they make and writing them. And so this, I kind of wanted something that was going to do a little bit of like printing work. So it's nothing complicated. The beginning is nothing complicated. It's kind of just like printing workbook, like practice your writing. But once you kind of get through that, we get into some more stuff. So you have those pages, then you get into pages that are more like this, where there's a picture, a word association, there's practice of the writing, which I quite like. I think kids like stuff like that a lot more. And then actually at the back, there's printing, other types of printing. So there's like, this one is Canadian cities because it's a Canadian book. So there's tracing and then printing the Canadian cities. There's different words. So it kind of gives you some practice without having to be like, what are we gonna do today? This is again, practice printing months of the year, right? So we get to practice our writing and our printing without being like, oh, this is the same thing again and again. Really simple. It's kind of going to be an activity for her to work on, working on her printing and working on her letter identification and what words start with what letters and stuff like that. So just a very simple kind of resource. But this is a great thing that I can do with her, and it's not, we can pick a letter and just work on it, and it gives me lots of options, right? I can pick a letter a week. Basically my plan with this is to pick a letter a week and do something like, okay, we're doing the letter N. So here is page 1. Then I can go backwards to, the one thing I don't like with this is I wish these pages came first and then these pages came second, but what you gonna do? So basically I can do, okay, we're doing, this is page 1, one day. This is page 2, another day. And then we can do another either activity or writing list or something afterwards on the day 3, because I kind of do a 3-day writing program with them. So that's what I'm going to use this for. I'm hoping to kind of get through this kind of quickly, probably doing 2 letters a week, and working on that. I think that's going to be kind of our goal. And then when we're done that, we're going to move into some phonics. This is again Chalkboard Publishing. Like I said, I really like this company. And so this is kind of a K1 program. So this is going to be kind of my second half of next year with Zoe. Again, I really like this. I always look for that kind of between a kindergarten and a grade 1, right? And I don't find there's a lot of programs that kind of do that step, which is what drew me to this program to begin with. That's how I found Chalkboard Publishing originally with Alexi, and this is what a lot of what she does now. This is what got us hooked on Chalkboard. This is getting into letter sounds, it's getting into what sounds they make and how to use them. And so I really like it because it's activities kids like to do. It's a lot of like matching. It's a lot of word searches, like amazing. Oh, there's like color different words. There's circle the words, make the sound. Like there's all kinds of activities that I find kids enjoy, and it's not like, oh, we're gonna do the writing and we're gonna write this thing 15 times. It's like fun activities that they like and they are learning without realizing they're learning because they're having fun. So that is why we're using Chalkboard Publishing. I also liked that it's like a $14.99 price point. You get so much activity work in here that it is kind of a fantastic program for any kind of like I said, senior kindergarten kind of age. So we're moving out of just like identifying letters and into like what sounds they make, finding them in words, making words with them, listening to their sounds in different words and the different sounds they can make. And I really like this program. So this is going to be what she's using for language. She's doing some printing and she's going to be doing some phonics. For science and social studies, we are unit study people. So we are going to be doing unit studies. I usually ask the kids in kind of like April, what do they want to learn next year, and give them time to stew about it, because I find kids do need time to like stew about what they want to learn. Otherwise they just, I swear, they literally just start looking around the room and naming things they see. I want to learn about balloons. I want to learn about cameras. I want to learn about lights. Like, so I do like ask them, tell them to start thinking about it, and then I give them a week or two, and then I ask them again, and then I get really good answers. Just tip. So I did ask her what she wanted to learn about, because we do 9 unit studies a year. She is going to pick 4-ish of them. And so she decided the things she wants to learn about next year. She wants to learn about food and cooking. She wants to learn about habitats, and she wants to learn about the olden times. Now luckily Alexi also wants to learn about a little bit of history, so we're going to be doing an ancient Egypt study, and so that's kind of like what we're going to be doing. So those are going to kind of cover some of our social studies and our history and science kind of portions of our year. Typically I often make my own units or use kind of a unit study builder and build my own unit studies. So I'm kind of getting lazy and I just kind of want to buy some of my units. So I have been using, actually went on to Teachers Pay Teachers, which is a great website if you've never used it. Essentially it is a website kind of like an Etsy, but for like curriculum and worksheets and stuff like that. And it's all designed by teachers. So you can go in and buy what you want, and it's usually fairly reasonable. Like for a single unit study that has all the printables and maybe some different things, it's like $5, and then you own it and you can print it off as many times as you want. So that's what I did. I got a few different unit studies, specifically like I got an ancient Egypt one, I got a habitats one, because it just, some of them come with so much information that like I could spend 5 hours building it and it would be just as cool, but I also would like have to put all that effort in. So some of them I did get from Teachers Pay Teachers, but some unit studies like the food and cooking is just not one that I can get units on, because really in the school system all they're learning about is like food groups and nutrition. What Zoe wants to get into is more like food sciences, like how to do baking, how to do cooking, how to saute, how to braise, how to chop things. Like that's what she's wanting to do, and so that's what we're gonna do. So for those units I am going to build them like I always have, and I'm gonna do things like picking a book like the food anatomy book and using this kind of as like almost like a mini textbook, and we're gonna do a lot of like reading out of here. So I'm gonna just build that unit study because it's really not available for kids her age, and it's just not out there for, it's not something teachers are typically teaching, so it's a little bit harder to find. I'm going to use my unit study building worksheet and build unit studies for them. If you want a free download on the unit studies worksheet, you can find the link, it'll be down below. Or if you buy the Essential Homeschool Planner, which is our brand new planner, which comes out this week, it's actually included in there. You guys had requested it so many times that like, oh my gosh, we'd love the planner. It would be great if you had the unit study planner in it. I had that request so many times, I just did it. I put it in the planner. So it is actually included in Essential Homeschool Planner as well. So that's what I'm gonna do for Zoe. I'm going to build what I can, use Teachers Pay Teachers, and use the curriculum that I have. That is my plan for Zoe. She's gonna join us for other unit studies, but that's like specifically what she wanted to do this year. I'm excited. I think she's gonna be excited. And I think it's gonna be a really good year. I think she's really gonna take off this year in terms of the amount of academic work that she's going to be able to do, and also that she's going to be able to understand, and that she's really, I'm hoping that we can really kind of like get her excited about that, because like I said, it was exciting to see her kind of connect with numbers this year and math concepts, and I'm kind of excited to see where we can go with that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to subscribe and click the bell, you'll get notifications for our next video, which will be all about Alexi and what she's doing for grade 2. And if you want to follow us along on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, you'll see what we do on a regular basis. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.